the sudden death. The year since my ex-husband's sudden death had been a crucible of grief and betrayal. His passing in an accident was a tragedy, but the aftershocks were what truly fractured our lives. My daughters, at the tender ages of 17 and 15, had been the ones to uncover their father's secret life, a long-term affair that had produced 2 young sons. The affair partner had also perished in the accident, leaving the boys orphaned and our family landscape irrevocably scarred. In the wake of this, my ex-husband's parents, a formidable duo of 78 and 80, launched a 2-pronged assault on what little stability we had left. They initiated a vicious court battle for custody of my daughters, a move as baffling as it was cruel. Simultaneously, they insisted they should move in with us, a notion I dismissed with the swift finality it deserved. Their relationship with the girls, already strained by years of quiet disapproval, had become openly hostile. To offer my youngest a moment of joy for her 15th birthday, we visited our local weekend market, a vibrant tapestry of fresh produce, farm-raised meats, and artisanal goods. With her party planned for later in the month, I handed her a generous budget and set her loose to indulge in her heart's desires, which predictably consisted of a mountain of chocolates and sweets. It was a small attempt to reclaim a piece of normalcy. A confrontation. An hour later, a knot of anxiety began to tighten in my stomach. Just as I was about to call her, my phone rang. It was my daughter, her voice choked with sobs, telling me that some weird people had her cornered. I grabbed my eldest, and we ran, finding my youngest pinned against a stall by a tight circle of 6 older women. They were berating her, their voices a venomous chorus, chastising her for being unchristian, by refusing contact with her grandparents, and for not wanting to be a good big sister to her poor orphan baby brothers. The irony was staggering. It was the discovery of these brothers that had traumatized my girls, a wound they were still tending to in therapy. A surge of protective fury propelled me forward. I pushed through the circle, placing myself between them and my daughter. "Go pay for your sister's things and wait in the car," I told my eldest, my voice dangerously calm. Then I turned to the cabal. I recognized a few faces from my ex-in-law's church. They told me I was even worse, a wife who refused to obey her husband's parents like a good Christian woman should. The hypocrisy was so thick I could have choked on it. The confrontation escalated until the shouting drew the attention of market security, and we were all asked to leave. The women trailed me to the car like a pack of vultures, their glares burning into my back until I could finally peel out of the parking lot. That night, after my daughters were safely in bed, I reached out to a man from that church with whom I'd remained on decent terms. I recounted the day's ambush. He was apologetic and then, hesitantly, explained its source. My ex-mother-in-law had penned a masterful work of fiction on the church's private Facebook group. It was a sob story worthy of a bad television movie, painting her and her husband as destitute, helpless victims. They had, in fact, inherited my ex's personal bank account and his life insurance. She lamented how their cruel granddaughters refused to speak to them and accused us of being the reason she had lost her grandsons, who were now living with distant relatives. The most audacious lie, however, was how she explained the existence of the affair children without revealing the affair. The church is a place of rigid principles, and while they hold some truly grating views on topics like LGBTQ+ rights, they are unequivocally, thunderously strict about infidelity. To sidestep this, my mother-in-law claimed the other woman had been our surrogate because I was unable to have more children. She then twisted the knife, alleging that I had rejected the babies simply because they were boys. The accusation was as disgusting as it was baseless. Time to clean the house. The time for quiet dignity was over. It was time to clean house. Since I was in the middle of divorcing my husband when he died, I possessed a treasure trove of evidence, and with the proceedings never finalized, I was under no legal obligation to keep it private. The next day, I went to a print shop. I requested high-quality, glossy copies of everything. The photos of my ex and his lover entangled in our own living room, their saccharine text exchanges, the messages where he confessed to his parents and received their full-throated support, the barrage of texts from my in-laws harassing me over the divorce, and for my coup de grace, the litany of emails and messages they had sent bullying my daughters. In one, sent just 2 days after their father's funeral, they called my girls bastards and blamed them for his death, claiming that their discovery of the affair had triggered the divorce and somehow the accident. I spent hours that evening meticulously assembling the evidence into personalized binders designed to mimic the prayer song packets the church provided for its congregation. The first page of each binder was a crystal clear photo of my ex and his mistress kissing, their faces unmistakable. Beneath it, a simple, damning caption, "The love story of Tiffany and Mike." Before the Sunday service, I slipped into the church and placed my creations on the back desk, nestled amongst the legitimate songbooks, waiting to be discovered. The fallout. The fallout was swift and brutal. The gossip mill didn't just turn, it exploded. I was told the names my ex and his partner were called online were so vile the pastor had to intervene to restore a semblance of Christian decorum. The congregation was furious with my in-laws, not just for the lie, but for the documented abuse of their own granddaughters. In a darkly comedic twist, a faction still held that I was in the wrong for seeking a divorce, but conceded that my failure as a wife was understandable after the shock, and that I might one day return to the light. My daughters received 2 stilted apology letters in the mail, along with a baffling invitation for me to join the church for support. As for my ex-in-laws, they were shamed into leaving the congregation entirely. My ex-mother-in-law's latest public post was a lament about feeling alienated, how no one cares for the elderly anymore. She ended by wishing her great son was still alive to take care of them. I had to laugh. With what money, I wondered, since I had always been the breadwinner. In the quiet that has followed, a part of me feels a grim, unshakable satisfaction. The phone calls have stopped. The public accusations are silenced, and my daughters can finally breathe without looking over their shoulders. I shielded my children with the only weapon they left me, the unvarnished, brutal truth. Yet sometimes, in the dead of night, I find myself questioning the scorched earth tactics I employed. I met their public lies with public humiliation, using their own community as the instrument of their downfall. It was effective, but was it the right thing to do? When your family is attacked with such vicious lies and your children's trauma is weaponized against them, what would you have done?